But I think other people, when we go into the schools, they would go,
Yeah.
you know, that the Indian hooting,
Yeah.
they would do that, and that was something that was kind of like, it kind of put me off because I didn't understand why they did that, because we didn't do that. That wasn't something we didn't go
something
around.
they saw in Hollywood movies.
Yeah, that was something that it was a stereotype.
Yeah, so you dealt a little bit with stereotyping.
Yeah.
And it sounds like your father was not going to have you shy away from your experience as Native Americans. So buying into that or having to cover up, he was not it sounds like he was not suggesting to you and your brothers that you have to put on a three-piece suit, as he felt he had to do at one time, right?
Well, he was raised on the reservation, Navajo reservation. At a young age, they were taken away from their homes and put into boarding schools.
Yes.
My dad experienced that whole situation, and it was very, very hurtful to them. They were told not to sing their songs. They were told not to speak their language. Their hair was cut. They were made to dress in the type of clothing that Europeans would wear. So they're very much, it was a forced assimilation. They were taken away from their families, from their homes, and all the things that they knew. So my dad suffered a lot from that, and also when he went into the Army, from herding sheep and going into the Army, it was quite a change for him also, because he received a lot of remarks and discrimination from other people, you know, because of his heritage as a Native American. In the civil service, he had a very difficult time because he was put in a place of authority. When he was the first Native American to enroll in Santa Clara University after World War II on a GI Bill, and he graduated with a bachelor's in accounting. And then he went back into the civil service, back into the Army, and he started to do work as an auditor for the Army base. And his peers didn't like it. They didn't like it. Him seeing a Native American, a red man, what they would call him, succeeding and wearing a suit and a tie and a shirt, white shirt that he kept very well pressed all the time, and shiny shoes. And
hard to stereotype under those conditions.
Yeah, but he excelled to the point to where he became a supervising auditor, and he received a lot of flack from people, you know, calling him red hot, red man, instead of red house, everything but red house. So he was experiencing discrimination as he was teaching us to bring cultural awareness to the dominant society that we were living in. He chose to raise us in this society, and he chose not to teach us the Navajo language, and because he did not want us to become confused. He wanted us to become articulate in English. He wanted us to excel, and then he wanted us to be able to compete with the white people.
Yes, and yet at the same time he was still having to prove himself day in and day out. Well, he was encouraging you to now begin recovering your roots, maintaining your roots through the arts and so forth, and like you say, putting you right out in front with your ceremonial costume on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happened to him in terms of everything we're talking about here as we started the conversation about this feeling of connectedness with all. Do you know what happened to your father and his sense of that when he was taken away from what he considered his world, what was his world, and being part of something and part of a philosophy that was connected to the all? What happened to him on a spiritual level after being removed from all of that?
Well, spiritually, if you trace, in my own opinion, tracing the history of the Red House family, looking at our evolution, when we would go back there as small children and visit from California and go to the reservation in the summertime, there were lots of sheep. There were lots of horses. And they were continuing to prosper. And you could tell how prosperous the family was, how successful they were by how many sheep they had. So they had a good number of sheep. But they had more before that. And they ended up having very few and down to nothing of anything eventually. And what I see happening was that my grandfather, there was an article in Time magazine in the 1960s that my uncles, my grandfather's sons, my father's brothers, became evangelists. Christian evangelists. There were evangelists that there were missionaries that would come to the Hogans, come to the houses, and would teach about Christianity. Well, my uncles became Christians, Orthodox Christians, and evangelists, and one of the things that they succeeded in doing that was put in Time magazine, an article that was put in Time magazine, was that one of my uncles converted my grandfather, who was a medicine man, to Christianity. And from that point on, my grandfather, he pretty much turned away from all of his medicine, all of his traditional medicine, his healing work, and he actually got rid of all of his healing paraphernalia. And from that point on, I see that there became a mixed perspective that happened in the family, and I see that the family became weaker. I feel that it became weaker. I feel that there was a confusion because they still tried to hold on to some of the traditions, but at the same time they were very much trying to please another perspective that was brought into their community. And to this day, there are no sheep, there are no horses. The families have had a lot of personal problems, a lot of addiction problems, and I think that a lot of that was a result from losing that power that they had, the reference point, the foundation of the traditional ways. And I can look back and kind of trace it, looking at that, the history.
And this is not an uncommon story among Native American families, where these big conflicts in perspective, some of them enforced upon the family, some reluctantly embraced, some reluctantly taken on, created this rift of sorts. As you say, it created problems, some really deep spiritual internal issues. And this is really now coming back into time now with you as an adult. It sounds like you picked up some of your grandfather's knowledge in the ways of healing. Is that fair to say?
Well, I believe it's something in the blood.
Yes.
It's in the blood. And not just that, but it's also a decision that we make. It's a decision that we make that we want to be open and be available to receive information and wisdom from the spiritual realm, and for it to flow through us if it's our intention to help people and to make this world a little bit better, even if it's one soul at a time. The desire to see people healed, the desire to see people recover, the desire to see people find hope when it's hopeless. When we open ourselves up to that, we will receive the information that we need intuitively. Once again, I believe that everything in the universe is part of me. I believe that every sound, every principle, every spiritual tradition, every belief system, every invention, every composition, everything is in the air. I'm very much in tune with the ability to take things that are waiting for me in the air, in the atmosphere, that are resonating in the atmosphere, that have been there for ages, and to be able to grab hold of those things when I need something for a specific purpose. It's like walking through an apple orchard. You know, if I get hungry and I want an apple, I will just grab an apple, pull that apple, and I'll eat it. Okay? The same thing in life. If I am going to present an event, every Tuesday night I work with women addicts here in Tucson, meth, heroin, cocaine addicts. If I'm going on my way to work with these women for 3 hours, then on the way, if I am looking for some direction, I will simply think about, okay, all I need to do is reach up, and there is everything that I need, everything that I will want to share with these people, it is available for me.
Let's talk about how that shows itself in some of the examples of what you've experienced with, say, this group of women.
Okay. I believe that the ability to receive unconditional love and the ability to give it